Here's a really easy way to know what the air-fuel mixture screw controls with just a glance at any carburetor. These screws play the biggest role in the air-fuel ratio at idle through the transition to mid-throttle. If you visually split the carb body in half and find the adjustment screw is on the engine side of the carb, that means it's a fuel metering screw, so tightening will give less fuel and loosening will give you more fuel. However, if the adjustment screw is found anywhere on the air intake side of the carb body, then it's an air adjustment screw, so tightening it will restrict airflow and loosening will add air to the pilot circuit. I hope this helps and ride safe. Here's one of the most common reasons carbs leak and how to fix it. Usually when taking the inspection nut off, you'll find sediment like this, which means the fuel tank is rusting. We have to take the float bowls off to get to the floats and needle valves that are usually the problem. Rust in the fuel system will break down so fine that it can pass through filters and then dries as a powder coating sensitive parts. The float needle is susceptible to this because when the bike is parked and some fuel evaporates, the needle is the first thing to accumulate the rust, which makes it stick or not able to seat tightly. The fact that fuel was coming out of this overflow shows just how high the fuel level was getting in the carb. When the leak is faster than the tube can drain, it will overflow into your airbox, or even worse, your intake, and fill the combustion chamber with fuel. This can hydrolock the engine. If the fuel makes it down past the piston rings, it will contaminate the oil in the crankcase. These carbs use metal-tipped needles, but most commonly you'll find them with rubber tips that became standard by the 1990s because they seal more reliably. The upside to the metal tips is that they last longer and can be cleaned and reused, where the rubber tips need to be replaced once they harden or deform. These metal needles clean up nicely and can now be reused. On removable seats like this, worn O-rings can also be a cause for leaks, so I usually replace them. Before we get the carbs back together, it's important to check this spring on the tip of the needles before reinstalling them. These can get sticky with fuel varnish and not allow the needle to seat properly, contributing to inconsistent leaks. Now that the carbs are clean and assembled, let's reinstall them, clean the tank out, and check for leaks. It looks like this set is ready to go. If the fuel system is kept clean, it won't need any work for years to come. I hope this helps, and ride safe. So what exactly defines a rebuilt carb? Here's a checklist of everything that I do to consider a carb fully rebuilt. First, I always start by removing the floats because they're the most delicate part, and it's good to get them out of the way. You can test their integrity by seeing how well they float, and shake them to hear if any fuel got inside. Brass floats are the worst about this and often need to be replaced. Float valve seats can usually be removed and replaced, but at a minimum, you'll want to clean them and probably replace the float valves themselves. Main jets rarely clog, but the emulsion tube they screw into normally have bleed holes that can easily gum up. Pull the whole thing out, and I like to use a wire from a throttle cable to mechanically ensure that each hole is cleared. Pilot jets clog the most and cause hard starting and idling issues. They can be recessed in the carb body and hard to remove, but you gotta get them out and get them clean. Mixture screws can be on the side, top, or bottom of the carb body and sometimes are even covered by a tamper-proof plug. If they meter fuel, they're gonna have an O-ring that usually needs to be replaced. Remember, the washer protects the O-ring from the spring, so it goes in between. For CV carbs, check the diaphragms for cracks or hardening and replace if you find any. Remove and clean the needle gently. Good ones have a coating on them that can scratch with abrasives, which will make them wear out faster. On multi-carb racks over 20 years old, you'll likely need to separate them and replace the crossover tube O-rings. This is the most complicated part of a rebuild, so when in doubt, you can take pictures as you go to help reassemble them later. If there is a choke plunger, remove that too. Carbs with air cutoff valves or accelerator pumps usually need those diaphragms replaced. Either way, make sure that they're removed before cleaning the carb body, or carb cleaner will damage them. Now you can thoroughly clean the carb bodies, checking that every hole is cleared. When reassembling, check the float heights to your bike's specs. Also, it's worth spending a little extra to get quality float bowl gaskets. Lastly, synchronize the rack if you separated it or if the bike struggles to idle at low RPMs. I hope this helps, and ride safe. I'm about to show you an often overlooked reason your carbs still leak even after you rebuild them. On pre-90s multi-carb setups, I find crossover tubes like these leak all of the time and are hard to diagnose because it looks the same as a float bowl or an overflow tube leak. On this 1970s KZ rack, the tube is not repairable, so I took a brass barbed T and machined it to fit O-rings. You need 2 O-rings per side so that it can handle the twisting and load angles without leaking. Whether you buy or DIY a new T, use a little lube to ease install, as it should be a tight fit. If this doesn't fix your leak, stay tuned for my next video about another common leak and how to fix it. Here's another overlooked reason your carbs keep leaking after a rebuild, even when your float height is perfect. Remove the float bowl in question and closely inspect the brass tube for a split like this. You can confirm a leaking tube by filling the bowl with water and blowing compressed air in the bottom of the tube. If you see bubbles in the water like this, your tube is leaking and has to be repaired or replaced. Because the tubes are brass, you can solder a split with some flux, solder, and the right amount of heat. But be careful not to overheat it. Getting the solder to wick into the seam nicely can be a little tedious, so take your time and don't sweat it. Test again with compressed air, and if there's no bubbles, you can reinstall with confidence that the issue is fixed. Hope this helps, and ride safe. Here's a quick tip for getting float bowl gaskets easily seated. I keep a tub of grease in my toolbox just for this. Dab a little grease on each corner of the groove in the bowl. It's just tacky enough to hold the gasket and slippery enough to help it slide into place when you apply pressure. It won't affect the seal or make it hard to remove or clean up like RTV and other gasket makers. This also works great for slide diaphragms. Hope this helps and ride safe. Many of you may have counterfeit carbs causing running issues on your bike and not even know it. These knockoffs are a real problem because on the outside they look identical to the real thing, but there are two solid ways to tell the difference between a genuine Mikuni and a cheap fake. I'm using VM36s here as an example, but this applies to any Mikuni carb. To check your carb, look on the side of the slide where you should find Mikuni Corp cast into it. On the other side of the carb body, you'll see Made in Japan cast just above the float bowl seam on all genuine Mikunis. A knockoff will never have these castings. Stay tuned in my next video explaining why the knockoff is not worth the savings. Here's all the reasons to avoid counterfeit Mikuni VM carburetors. First things missing are the main jet baffle plate and the body baffle. These reduce fuel surge or starvation under rough riding conditions. Next, you'll find that the main jets are entirely different and the counterfeit isn't stamped with a size, so this leaves the carb untunable on the main circuit. While the pilot jet is different and unmarked as well, at least I was able to fit the Mikuni pilot in the off-brand carb. This is the genuine needle jet. They can be replaced for mid-throttle tuning in a Mikuni. The off-brand Carbs needle jet, however, couldn't be removed to compare because it was pressed in so tightly. The needles were the same, except that there's no markings on the off-brand, so you can't know what you're starting with. Next, I found that the slides are a different outer diameter, so the Mikuni slide won't fit in the knockoff carb body, making the slide cutaway untunable as well. Lastly, comparing the idle screws, the Mikuni has more taper, which will give finer control over idle adjustments than the blunt end of the off-brand carb. While the counterfeit carb did work when tested, since it's largely untunable, I wouldn't recommend it. So I did some troubleshooting today on this cute little CB175 tracker, and I thought the solution could be helpful for anyone who works on carbs. It had been sitting for years, so I cleaned the carbs, and when I buttoned it up for a test run, this is what happened. Instant and uncontrollable high revving. That's with the idle screws backed all the way out, and the mixer screw is about 1 turn from seated. My first thought was a big vacuum leak, but I couldn't find any. And then I noticed that the throttle cable adjusters were backed out several turns. So I tightened them down, and you can see how far they were holding the slides up. The top cap adjusters are how you synchronize these carbs and should never control the idle. The previous owner just had them set way too high. So after making sure that both slides started moving at the same time, this is how it ran. Hope this helps and ride safe. I'm curious how well this generic carburetor rebuild kit compares to a genuine kit from Keihin. So today, let's test and see if the huge price difference is worth it. First, we'll break down the contents of the kits. Surprisingly, the generic kit comes with quite a bit more than the genuine one, including a spare float, some much needed pieces, and most importantly, these mid-body gaskets that for some reason Keihin doesn't even offer. The generic parts all fit really well out of the package, but I'm concerned if they're made of fuel-resistant materials, and the seller wasn't particularly helpful with that information. So I'll test them by soaking both kits in some ethanol-blended fuel for 24 hours and see how they react. Checking fitment now, it's clear the generic parts swelled quite a bit. The genuine gaskets did too, but not nearly as much, and that goes for all of the parts in both kits. Next, I boiled everything to evaporate the fuel and see if they would return to their original spec. The generic parts were about a 90% success, but remained slightly deformed, as were all of the genuine parts perfectly returned to their respective sizes. This is an undeniable quality difference that confirms the rubbers are not as resistant to fuel in the generic kit. Now, I'll rebuild this carburetor with the generic parts, and let's skip ahead a few weeks to see how it's doing. The bike is running strong. I took the float bowl off and the gaskets surprisingly held perfect form and everything looks to be holding up well so far, but only time will tell how long it'll last. Let me know in the comments. Would you run a generic rebuild kit on your bike? I hope this helps and ride safe. This week I'm working on Bing carbs off of a BMW R100 and I wanted to show you an important fix to tune out a lean spot in the mid-range almost all of these carbs have. If you see staining like this around the top cap, it means it's for sure leaking. This happens because the diaphragm lips are too thin for the cap to seal them to the carb body. Aside from ugly residue, this leak causes a lean spot that's impossible to properly fix with jetting. The lip on the carb body can be sanded down using sandpaper on a flat surface, rotating in a figure 8 pattern to remove material evenly around the circumference. Then, with micrometer set to 0.146 inches, I measure and sand until the lip is exactly that deep. Now, once it's all back together, you can feel the diaphragm squish slightly and know your carb is less leaky. Hope this helps and ride safe.